What are some of the factors that are playing into the recent sales tax weakness? Well, as we just saw, ag equipment spending has been weak. That's one factor. Low inflation we have experienced recently is providing little price increases, which generate, in turn, tax increases. As I mentioned, we had a slower this year in tourism compared to a record year in 2015. In general, consumers are expressing overall caution in spending due to uncertainty, whether it be political uncertainty preceding the election or uncertainty about the future of the economy. Finally, online purchasing continues to erode sales tax collections. Online spending in the United States has grown by more than 12% each year for the past 7 years. Understand, many online retailers do collect and remit sales tax on purchases by South Dakotans. However, many do not. Under current federal law, an online retailer is not required to collect and remit sales tax to South Dakota unless they have a physical presence in South Dakota. Thus, the burden to pay the tax falls upon the individual purchaser, and in most cases, those sales do not get reported nor any tax paid. Let's look at some examples to be sure we all understand this rule. All online sales are taxable. However, not all companies are required to collect and remit the taxes. 3 scenarios illustrate who is required to remit taxes and who is not. Let's look at the first one. In scenario number 1, a consumer goes shopping at a Best Buy store in South Dakota. As a result, 2 things happen. Excuse me. First, the consumer purchases their product. Second, Best Buy collects and remits the sales tax of that purchase to South Dakota. In scenario number 2, a consumer shops from South Dakota, but online, and makes a purchase at bestbuy.com. As a result, 2 things happen. First, the consumer purchases their product. Second, Best Buy collects and remits the sales tax of that online purchase to South Dakota. It doesn't matter that the online purchaser connected to a website in Minnesota. It doesn't matter that the warehouse that shipped that product is in Minnesota. The important factor is Best Buy has a physical presence in South Dakota. So whether the person walked into the store and bought it or bought it from Best Buy online, Best Buy collects the tax and remits it to South Dakota. In scenario number 3, a consumer shops from South Dakota online and purchases from a company which does not have a physical presence in South Dakota. As a result, 2 things happen. First, the customer purchases their product. Second, this company with no physical location in South Dakota does not collect or remit sales tax to South Dakota. The lost sales tax revenue to state and local government in examples like scenario number 3 is estimated at roughly $50 million. That's to state and local governments. Consumers should pay use tax if they did not pay sales tax, but few do. We receive roughly $4 million from remote sellers who voluntarily collect the sales tax. This means most is not being received. As you know, we've been actively addressing this for several years, but most recently in the 2016 session, the legislature passed and I signed Senate Bill 106. This legislation requires remote sellers with no physical presence in South Dakota to collect and remit sales tax in online purchases. It directly confronts the Quill Supreme Court decision. This legislation initiated litigation and is now working itself through the court system. Together, we're addressing this critical issue on many fronts.